Hey guys, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Eric Weiss. Little introduction of myself. I'm a Little League baseball umpire. I've been doing it for 6 years. This is going to be my 7th season coming up. Usually Little League umpires get kind of a bad rep. People are like, well, first they go, hey, that's not really baseball. Let me tell you, it is really baseball. Yeah, there might be some rules that apply to Little League that don't apply to other levels of baseball, but it's baseball nonetheless. The umpires kind of get a bad rep, hey, you're not a real umpire. They think we don't know the rules. Let me tell you, we go through training every year. We go through rules clinics. We do mechanics clinics. We're as real as it gets when it comes to umpiring, and like I said, the rules of Little League are the same rules of all levels of baseball. There's some rules for Little League that don't apply at other levels, but all the rules that apply to Major League Baseball apply to Little League Baseball, with the exception of the balk rule. That's because the runners can't lead off. But when leadoffs and balks are the only two exceptions, everything else is exactly the same. So I just figured that I would use my knowledge of these baseball rules to kind of explain some controversial calls that have happened in the past in Major League Baseball, and hopefully explain some new ones that are going to happen this season, because let's be honest, there's always new plays that are happening every single season that people don't agree with. So I'm going to do my best to use my knowledge of the rules and use my experience as an umpire to explain these calls to people. All right. And of course, if I have any plays happen in games that I personally umpire this year, I'll make sure I throw those into the show as well. All right, so for this first episode, I wanted to talk about the 2012 National League Wildcard game between the Braves and the Cardinals. It's the Infield Fly Rule game. So for those of you who don't know what happened in that game, or for those of you that need to be reminded, the Braves had Andrelton Simmons at the plate with runners on first and second, less than 2 outs. Simmons hit a ball into shallow left field where Cardinals shortstop Pete Kozma ran out to get it. He subsequently didn't catch the ball. The ball dropped. The runners advanced to second and third, but Simmons was called out on an infield fly, and that call was made by umpire Sam Holbrook. So the controversy has always been that, one, the ball wasn't on the infield, it was in shallow left field, and two, he didn't catch the ball, which means there's no reason why the call should have been made, because A, he didn't catch the ball. I guess, in people's minds, hey, if you didn't catch the ball, then that means that you had no chance of catching the ball, which means it shouldn't be an infield fly. Let me just say both of those are total misconceptions of what the rule is. Let me just explain real quick. The Major League Baseball rule states that with runners on first and second, or with runners on first, second, and third with less than 2 outs, a ball is hit up in the air, and an infielder can make the catch with ordinary effort. Ordinary effort, and it's in the judgment of the umpire. So if you think that that's not ordinary effort, but the umpire does, then he's going to call it, okay? So it doesn't matter if you think it's ordinary effort, it matters if he thinks it's ordinary effort. And if you ask me, a guy who umpires, 130, 140 games a year and sees the same players throughout the entire year, I think he knows what an ordinary effort is for each individual player on the infield in that specific game. He knows exactly what plays those players can make and what plays they can't. So in Holbrook's opinion, he felt that Kozma read the ball very well and could easily get out to shallow left and make that catch, which I agree with him watching the replay. He was out there, he was getting into position, and it seemed that the oncoming left fielder, who was Matt Holliday, may have called him off, which resulted in Kozma kind of pulling up on the ball, which is why it dropped. But he was without a doubt in position to make the catch. So this is a correct call. The infielder was able to get to the position to make the catch, bam, infield fly. The ball does not have to be on the infield. The ball can be hit anywhere. It has to do with the infielder himself. Can the infielder make the play on the ball? So everyone has always stated that it was a terrible call, but really it was the correct call. And even, I believe, Joe Torre had a conference after the game with the umpires. Like, it was a press conference which featured Joe Torre and, I believe, the crew chief, and they actually explained to everybody what the infield fly rule is and why it was the correct call. And still to this day, people still don't agree with it. And I hate to break it to everybody, but it was the correct call. And this whole misconception of the infield fly rule, it just, I don't know, it just really shocks me. And honestly, I kind of credit the broadcasters who broadcast all these baseball games, especially postseason, for why people don't understand the rules. Because as the play developed, as the play happened and the replays were shown, the announcers, you could hear them stating, oh, this is a bad call, this is not the correct call, why is this the call? And the problem is that they got these people on TV who don't even know the rules. And so when you got people on TV who don't know the rules, who are arguing calls, it's going to result in the average fan thinking, oh, this guy's getting paid to announce it on TV. He must know what he's talking about. The guys in the broadcast booth are probably less educated than the guy sitting on his couch. So I feel like we have to credit the broadcasters for people not understanding the rule and for people believing that this was an incorrect call. But this is definitely the correct call. And, so once again, let me just kind of go over the rule again. If at any time a ball is hit up into the air with runners on first and second or first, second, and third with less than 2 outs, and in the umpire's opinion, the infielder can get under it and make the catch, then the infield fly rule will be called. Now, there's also, people say, oh, well, don't you have to be camped underneath it, or don't you have to settle underneath it? No, you do not. Honestly, an infielder, believe it or not, an infielder doesn't even have to attempt to catch the ball. All the infielders can just stand around and not even attempt to go catch the ball, but if the umpire believes that they could have went and got the ball, it's an infield fly. And you say, well, why is that? Well, simple. If the ball is hit, let's say, right behind the pitcher's mound, it's hit up in the air, it's going to land right behind the pitcher's mound, nobody moves, then once it lands on the ground, then somebody's just going to run over there, pick it up, throw it to third for the first down, throw it back to second for the second out. And that's why the rule is created, to prevent a double play from happening. So a fielder, this whole having to camp underneath it or settle, get set up underneath it, I don't know who created that terminology or who added that terminology to the explanation of the rule, but nowhere in the rule book does it use those words. Nowhere in the rule book does it say that has to happen. All that has to happen is that the ball has to be hit in the air, and the umpire, in their judgment, believes that an infielder can make the catch. That's it. Those are the only two parts of the rule. That's it. So in this play, that is exactly what happened. The ball is hit up in the air. Holbrook believed that Kozma could get underneath it, which he was underneath it before Holliday called him off. And that's it. That's the end of the rule. Bam, infield fly. Story done. So that's the explanation for that play. I'll be sure to come up with more plays to talk about. And go ahead and leave a comment if you have an opinion about what I just talked about, or if you have an idea of other plays that I should talk about, or other plays that I should explain. Just stay tuned for future episodes. All episodes are going to be 15 minutes or less, so it's just going to be a short, straight to the point explanation of the play. And yeah, that's it. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys continue to listen, and